It's all reused stuff you can see anywhere. Yeah, but for me, it kind of reawakens a little bit of the sense of like mystery a little bit, like what could have been, and like the big world and everything like that. And I personally like it. I think it's nice. Let's see what this is. Unreleased Secrets of Vanilla WoW, episode 6. It's a good intro. It's very recognizable, isn't it? It's so good. Okay. Is this like a character or what? What's up, Twitson?
Hey guys, what's up? Mad Season here.
Oh,
back
the
with
troll.
another video for you in the cut content series for Vanilla World of Warcraft. Today we continue to explore the long lost alpha client and all of the weird features and areas that failed to make the cut, starting off with the Lost Islands. So to the west of Westfall, we find a couple of islands that never made it into the game. First covering the northernmost, Gilligan's.
I remember hearing about this.
A reference to the 70s TV sitcom Gilligan's Island, where after a storm, a ship set ground on the shore of this uncharted desert isle. And the island itself is actually quite massive. Judging from the map, it's about the size of Deadwind Pass.
That's actually huge. Yeah, I remember hearing something about this, that there was supposed to be some islands down there.
I'll give you a pretty thorough tour here. Starting on the docks on the southern end of the island.
And they were in the game?
A lot of the environment and architecture is quite similar to Stranglethorn, which makes sense because it's not too far from here. And going up the hill, we have this little cave and camp area with a giant turkey being spit roasted. This leads to a fork in the road where you can go straight or up. Going up leads to another small camp with a tent. I imagine that this would have been a little quest hub area like that rebel camp in Stranglethorn or something. But heading
it's
back
pretty
down
cool.
And following the path straight leads to another fork where you can either go forward or check out the beach. Going to the beach first, you have some of those turtle skeletons that you would find in Dark Shore.
Yeah.
And it goes on for a little while until you can see some ruins to the right. And going through here, we actually have a few different ways to go. There's another beach, there's a bridge leading to some more ruins, or a side path. Following
this is kind of dope. It would be cool to see more like troll areas like that.
Path,
Turtle did not make it to the water, yeah.
Going straight leads you back to where we started, and going across the bridge leads you to the northern part of the island. To the left is a small cliff area with not a whole lot going on, but if you were to go right, we have this happy little waterfall. And
this could even be cool in like somewhat like a dungeon-esque kind of vibe, man, because it has like not a dungeon, like a raid, because it's a massive place. How does one get in there and footage of this? It is from the early alpha. Basically, I don't know how people get these, but you can get like an alpha version of World of Warcraft where like a lot of those original files are in the game with the troll models and like a bunch of like the things that were supposed to be in the game. And that's pretty much how he's doing it, right?
And interesting.
I think these were re-added to Turtle WoW and made bigger. Cool to mention. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, I never played Turtle WoW myself, but I know they did a lot of like additions to the game, which were maybe not intended the way the Turtle WoW had added them, but a lot of the things that they did add was like concepts that was like maybe like, you know, originally planned and then like, you know, reimagined through Turtle WoW, which is cool. It's definitely a cool project for sure.
Fair enough. An actual NPC, which is kind of rare for unfinished areas. It's a naked human in sort of a
small city,
pose. You can't interact with them, unfortunately, but clearly there were some plans for a little questing area here of some sort. If you notice, there's also some random paths strewn about, so it's a pretty early work in progress.
Cool, man.
But heading back across the bridge, let's go check out the ruins that we walked by.
That's a cool little like is there any other place like this in Vanilla where there's like a rapid water like that over? I don't think there is.
There's a jump.
What's up, Jerry?
And you're met with 3 more paths. One is just a single room cave, which is of course empty. And going down the stairs, it splits off into more.
This is literally the CG entrance.
Stairs leading nowhere.
Oh, maybe a little bit more steep though, but it's the same.
The 2 islands and a small cave system. Who knows what it would have held, but if I remember correctly, these were most typically used for ogre caves.
Dude, Blizzard really loved reusing the same caves, and like you could tell, man, when you go through all the different kind of like places of WoW, like they really loved reusing them.
That ogre mound in Duskwood.
Oh shit, Borderline, good stuff.
And also in Alterac. And considering that there is an ogre presence in Stranglethorn, maybe they also had a little island here as well. I mean, that was a pretty big turkey back there. Heading out though, and going up the hill to the right, exiting the cave, we have another creepy NPC just hanging out. and behind him a wrecked ship. Probably.
You know how hard it is to make a new cave? I don't think it's that hard, but, you know, all I've done is I've made maps in Warcraft 3, but, you know, I wouldn't assume it's that hard.
Reference again to the Gilligan.
Then go make one. Like IRL, you want me to go get a pickaxe and make a cave IRL?
Sitcom. This is where they would have crash landed, maybe, and maybe this guy is Gilligan or Skipper or whatever.
Something up.
You know, everybody's like Ginger or Marianne. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, what about Mrs. Howell?
What?
Oh, Thurston. Like I said, this is the smaller of the two islands, so let's go north and check out the island.
I didn't get that reference at all. I had no idea what that even was. I'm not gonna lie. That must be some NA inside joke. I don't know.
Lapidis. But before that, let's talk about today's sponsor,
Oh, okay.
Boot.dev.
Dude, he loves Boot.dev.
Boot.dev isn't like them other coding platforms. They've
That's the most excited I've ever heard Matt season.
And how to make learning back
Freakster, thank you for the 14 months.
Not just effective, but also fun. They've designed the entire experience like an RPG game where you're not just passively watching tutorials, but you're actively completing quests, earning XP, leveling up, and even taking on boss fights. I've worked with them in the past because, considering the subject matter, I think it resonates really well with you guys. It's very RPG.
Excited about getting a big fat check? Why wouldn't you be excited about that?
While feeling like you're actually playing an RPG.
Get that money, man.
I have a background in computer science myself, and I have actually been using it as more of just a hobby, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It feels like a new way to learn without the boredom that usually comes with these online courses. It gets you writing a ton of code because that's really the only way you can learn. Plus, you have a very supportive Discord community and even
pretty cool, though.
An AI-powered wizard named the Boots who will guide you through any tricky concepts. If you're apprehensive, they do offer a 30-day no questions asked refund policy. So if it's not for you, no worries. Plus, you can also demo every course for free to see if it clicks with your learning style. I would say that if you have been on the fence about doing something like this would be a really good way to kind of get your feet wet to see if it would be something that is for you. If you would like to try it, click the link in the description and use my code, MADSEASONSHOW, to get 25% off your first payment, whether it's for 1 month or an entire year.
Cool!
Starting from the eastern beach, you'll see that it's
dude, this music.
Empty
I
plain.
instantly recognized it, man. Fucking Diablo 2, dude.
Until you reach a fork where you can go straight to some ruins or right up a hill. And going right first is a traversable yet fairly empty area.
Yeah, it's really empty actually. It's
alpha. Going back and going to the ruins and going across the bridge, you'll find it's pretty intricate. I'd say that it's approximately maybe half the size of Zul'Gurub, and instead of narrating it all, I figured I would just show you here because it is quite a big area and there are a ton of nooks and crannies to explore.
It's actually really cool.
There's a lot of work put into this area.
It's crazy that like a place like this was actually made in the game and they wanted to do something with it. And they even have like the files for it, but they never went anywhere, and even in TBC or Wrath. Because a lot of those things that was like intended for vanilla then got introduced in TBC or Wrath, right? But this is a massive place. Yeah, if you look at the map up there, there's a map of it too. It's pretty insane actually. Diablo, dude, Diablo is so good. Especially the music. It's nice. Would this have been like a city? Like a troll city? If this actually exists in the game files, it'd be easy to do something there. Just add NPCs in the quest line, such a waste. Yeah, dude, I mean, it literally, the files are there. I mean, we can see it right now. Like, it's literally like a layout. All you would really have to do is like add in all that, yeah, the fillers, the fillings, I guess. Like the NPCs, like a few like doodads and whatever the heck, right? Kinda cool though. Has to been a dungeon? Either like a major city or like a raid or something. Yeah, because it's a really big area. It's a very, very big area. And notoriously speaking, a lot of the troll dungeons are actually outdoor. So like Sulfrak, there's also Jinte Alor, which is like an open world dungeon. And then also Zul'Gurub, right? They're all kind of like open world in a way. With the skybox and stuff, right? But I think it wasn't that easy than it's today. I don't know what you're referring to, Jerry. Notoriously speaking, yeah. Yep, true. Suleiman too. Yeah, but Suleiman is in TBC, but still, right? Yeah, same thing. it was hard to make back in the day. I don't think... I'm gonna go on a whim here as a person who doesn't really know a whole buttload about it, but I don't think making maps are very hard, essentially, right? Because like, you kind of just make the terrain and then you put in all the trees and then you put in all the stuff. So it's not like the hardest thing to do, I think. Right? I don't think it is. Yeah. Making maps is not hard, making good maps is hard. True. Yeah, very true. What's up, Piper? I'm good, Piper. Is there something bad with my internet or what? It's a really big area, though. Just move to Living Flame, maybe I'll see you around. Oh, cool, dude. It's cool. I haven't been on Sod in such a hot minute, man.
Exiting the ruins.
I don't know if it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I haven't been playing Sod at all, I feel like, in a while.
Phases into the ground. And following that, we have a pretty open area with a little cave and two directions. A beach or further into the jungle. Going to the beach,
this is sick, man. This is huge.
And here it's also, we find evidence of quest hubs potentially with camps and equipment strewn about, so...
It's so cool to see, like, what could have been, right?
Maybe you were to land on this western end of the island via boat from Booty Bay or something. These islands are
it's very active.
Water, so
Living Flame, that's good.
To swim to them, and non-continental boat travel is, of course, established, like in Fairless for the Alliance, for example. Before heading back and further into the jungle,
really cool zone.
If you followed the dry river south, you would have
this
found
area is in Turtlebow. Yeah, that's what one guy said earlier as well. Like it is actually like Turtlebow did expand on this.
Small cave systems. Of course, it's empty like everything else here. And finally, going deeper into the jungle near that smaller cave and heading north, you'll see just how much work was put into this area with all the foliage. If I were to show you a random screenshot, you'd probably guess that this is Stranglethorn Vale.
Yeah,
you'll soon come
it
to
looks very similar.
Split in the road where you can go left or right. Going right leads to a little compound with houses and a sawmill and a giant berry popsicle that the locals worship. Nah, just kidding.
That's kind of cool.
This is one of those binding stones that we discussed in a previous episode.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's just untextured here, but there would have eventually been an NPC to bind you here where you would res every time you died.
I do.
And as for the compound, it's pretty reminiscent of the Curzon area in northeast Stranglethorn.
Island of Dr. Lapidis. Who the heck is Dr. Lapidis? The island of Dr. Lapidis is an island in the south seas of the coast of Stranglethorn Vale, north of Gidigim Isle. The island contains jungle troll ruins, and though it was a feature in the original Alpha World of Warcraft, it does not currently appear in game. Notably, however, it appeared in several early depictions of Azeroth in the world map in 2006 and a map in the comic. Also appeared on multiple maps in a defunct Warcraft RPG. So it was actually meant to be there, yeah, it fully was in there. Interesting.
Actually, it uses a lot of the same assets and buildings and whatnot. It also has that abandoned inn from Moonbrook.
The classic.
And some really messed up docks, and also an oil platform.
No shot we wipe on that.
Collision.
I don't believe it.
Considering the docks, maybe this is actually where you would have landed to start the island. But heading back to the fork and going left this time, we have
spicy sneeze.
another
I've been working out. My belly hurts.
Leads to one of those big mage towers. I wonder if maybe this is where Dr. Lapidis resided. Maybe he was the big bad of the area to serve as the finale or something.
I tried to Google him, but I couldn't find anything about Dr. Lapidis. No flame, but I love how classic Annie see a place that was never released, but it looks like anything else in the game, and you're completely astonished. Well, I'm saying this because you're referring to me as well. So I really like the world of vanilla. I really like the game, right? So I think for me it's cool seeing what could have been extra in the game, and it's like it's not really like a big deal. It's not really like a huge matter, but it's cool. Like a game I really love playing, a game I really enjoy, like this could have been in the game, or this was something that was intended to it. I just think it's cool, you know, maybe you don't find it interesting, or, you know, maybe you don't care at all. I personally think it's cool, you know. It's all reused stuff you can see anywhere. Yeah, but for me, it kind of reawakens a little bit of the sense of, like, mystery a little bit, like what could have been, and, like, the big world and everything like that. And I personally like it. I think it's nice.
Going the other way, we reach a dead end with this little...
It expands the world.
To mark that it's a work in progress.
It's under discovery.
So it's 2003.
Did I transfer my character to Living Flame? I did.
Some developer ran out of breast milk and
Like,
said,
it's a silly
"Screw
thing,
this
but
crap,
I
I'll
like
finish
it."
later." But the later never came. I don't know, maybe he got fired for cube crawling or something, but that's pretty much it. There is more landmass beyond this point, but since you're obviously not meant to reach it yet, it's all very barren. Sort of like those out-of-bounds areas that you would find all over Eastern Kingdoms in Kalimdor.
Yeah.
But these are two pretty huge land masses that
Dude, they're almost as big as Westfall. Like, dude, he said Deadwing Pass, but dude, it's way bigger than Deadwing Pass. Like, this whole thing here is pretty much Westfall. Like, if you add this on top of it, it's way bigger than that. It's huge, actually.
decent amount of work put into them for them to never see the light of day. Stranglethorn is level 30 to 40-ish, but you kind of need to supplement it with other areas like Desolus, which is across the world. So maybe that's a result of them just running out of time and cutting these places out.
A lot of the stuff back in Vanilla was scrapped because of time constraints, right? So they had a lot of really big visions for the game, but a lot of it just got scrapped because they just didn't have time. It couldn't get out in time. And maybe also a money problem. Yeah, like Ghost says in the chat, it could also just be like they didn't have the funding for it because it wasn't like a huge company back in the day, right? Yeah, they have Warcraft 3, they had StarCraft and all that stuff, but it wasn't like before WoW came out that Blizzard became like the giant that they are, right?
I could definitely see these areas being done alongside Stranglethorn, or maybe they were even meant to be high-level elite areas like Tyr's Hand in the Eastern Plaguelands, for example. But pretty cool and interesting nonetheless that even after 20 years, there's still stuff that I've never seen in this game. I'm not sure about you guys.
Alright, let's see the next thing.
Doing another class here. Priest was...
The freaking trolls. The old troll models were so fucking ugly. Like, absolutely ugly.
Was pretty different in its original inception, specifically Discipline.
That's fair enough,
more
Piper.
Inspired from Dungeons and Dragons because they had a melee component to them. This was largely abandoned by release, but there was some evidence still lingering about, such as in 1.0, their inner fire spell increasing melee attack power, which just mystified players back then.
Yeah.
Although this was eventually removed, the chaplains in the Scarlet Monastery
like a melee priest
retained it. So this is what a melee priest would have looked like.
It's actually kind of cool, though.
There are also various cloth items in the game that have like strength and agility on them.
But I guess maybe like a melee priest is a paladin. So like, what's the point of also having a melee priest? Because the paladins are the melee priests in a way. You know, clerics in D&D are often melee. Yeah, true.
Which most just chalked up to weird.
Run melee priests, basically, bro.
In reality, it was tailored for the cloth melee class. But aside from all that, in the alpha, they also had some interesting stuff going on, such as the ability to sleep any target. As you may know, this was eventually given to druids in the form of hibernate, but only for beasts and
that running.
You're probably familiar with their power word spells. At this time, they were called Holy Word, which functioned the same except for Shield, which had a different graphic, and it also didn't give you the weakened soul debuff, which combined with the short cooldown made it incredibly overpowered.
Wait, so you could just permanently freaking shield yourself? Oh, that's fair. Yeah, okay.
Vanilla, there only ended up being one shadow word, and that was Pain, which was a dot, which is the same in the alpha, but they had a couple of others at this point. There was a Befuddle, which slowed casting speed, and also Fumble, which reduced a target's chance to hit by 75% for 10 seconds.
What? Dude, that would have been fucking insane. Priests would have been nutty.
On a 1 minute cooldown.
75% chance to miss and on a 1 minute cooldown. Imagine that in PvP, dude. What the fuck?
Mind control was called Dominate. Abolish disease was Nullified disease, which also granted immunity for a short time.
Immune to diseases for 30 seconds with no cooldown. What the
Resurrection was usable in combat. That's not just a priest thing, that would also be true for paladins and shamans. But all of this was later nerfed. And combat res was given to druids. And as for Inner Fire, its very first form here was just a straight damage and armor increase. But all those spells and what you're seeing in front of you is the entire toolkit of the priest. So obviously very early stages here. In a previous episode, we went over Alpha Stormwind, so I
Orgrimmar.
I'd show the Horde a little love here with Alpha Orgrimmar.
Okay, I don't think I've ever seen this.
First entering the city, we have a boar trainer. If you've been watching this series, you'd know how hunters needed to train specific pet abilities from these specialized trainers, so here's where you would have gotten the boar spells for the horde. Another thing you'll notice is that the guards have a different look, but entering the city...
I like the newer guard looks.
A different look.
They don't look as orcish here, I feel like. They look, yeah, not a smork, you know? I don't remember that nomadic. That might have been before I really had sentient feelings about the world.
But entering the city, you'll find that there's no auction house yet. The bank looks
so empty.
And it's harder to navigate because that little ridge that connected the flight path tower to the PvP building.
Wait, what?
And the Valley of Spirit is gone now. In fact, the entire Valley of Spirit is missing.
Wait, it looks so weird.
It's just a long, skinny path leading to the back entrance of the city. Also, in this version, this is where you boarded the Zeppelin.
Torque
which,
the Orc.
if you remember, that was a change in the Cataclysm expansion version of the city. But little did we know, this was actually the original. But heading back into the main hub and past the missing auction...
Dude, it almost looks more like the retail Orgrimmar in a way.
House. That little path that led to the Valley of Honor and the Cleft of Shadow is now 3 levels. The Cleft of Shadow is now called the Voodoo Lounge, and it's also really glitchy, so excuse the jarring videography here. But the main difference that I can tell is that RFC isn't in yet.
Zeppelin should have been inside the city. It doesn't make much sense having it outside the city, right? From like a strategic standpoint. Why would you have like that outside the city? Yeah.
And the entrance is replaced by a tent. Heading to the Valley of Honor, you'll notice
this is so open
in layout and texture. They have this big ramp here instead of that little pond where they...
I like the pond,
trainers.
honestly.
And the building that held the hunter trainers is different, and it now holds warrior trainers. And the hunter trainers are now where the warriors and battle masters were.
What the fuck?
And there's also this Colosseum where lore-wise Vary and Rin battled, but this would have been a cool dueling arena for players.
Yeah, for sure.
Thrall's building is quite different, now holding 3 different rooms and being kind of confusing to navigate. If you remember in Desolus, that Burning Blade fortress where you escort out the Night Elf, it's basically 2 of those buildings squashed together. And Thrall is also hot pink. But back in Stormwind, since I mentioned it,
we're doing it soon anyway,
so yeah, sure. Previous episode are some NPC model changes.
Dude, I kind of like this model, man. I don't know, dude. He looks a little bit janky, but I kind of like it. It's a vibe.
In the cheese shop, you have a more lightweight human. This is probably because it came from Star Wars Galaxies, which had character customization
the good kind of jank,
way ahead of its time. But I always thought it was kind of lame that you couldn't change your body type.
Yeah, I actually agree. Like if you could have like a little slender or like a more muscular like me, you know, it could be kind of sick.
The original character creation, and you still can't even to this day, from what I know, aside from fat humans being a new race entirely. For whatever reason.
Oh, the height, yeah.
I thought it would have been cool.
Yeah, because in most, like, look at this. If you could have a rogue and like make him like kind of like skinny, like these, you know, because these thugs are actually they're like a different kind of human, right? Maybe that would just be like a lot of work, I guess, because then you would have to add it for all of them. So you know,
if you could have chosen between thin, fat, and mid forms to better match your class. This guy's pretty buff for a class with 5 strength. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it would have made it unfair because other races...
Oh yeah, it might fuck with armor as well, because then they would have to make armor sets for every single like version of those too. But I kind of like in some MMOs that you can like change a lot of stuff, right? But I guess you always end up making the most fucked up, ugly character you can, you know?
Didn't have it.
What's up, Salma?
I thought it would have been cool to be like this more stealthy,
that's a cool
looking rogue. Anyways, in a previous episode, we mentioned the survivalist profession, where there would be areas in the game that were very dark that you could navigate more easily by lighting torches. Something I found in this alpha is that we do actually have one such area, the Uldaman dungeon.
What the fuck? Did it used to be like this? Oh yeah, poor Blizzard. Well, actually, Skynet Jesus. We are talking about like a version of the game back in 2003 and 4. Where Blizzard wasn't really the giant company that it is now, right? They were a big company, but not even close to what they became after a while, right? But yeah, you're right, you know.
It was actually incredibly dark. Honestly, it's probably just a glitch with the lighting. But
yeah, I think so.
All the times I've seen this
Alpha was 2002, yeah.
I've never actually seen a dark area in the game, so I thought it would be cool to see what it could have looked like and how difficult it would have been to navigate these dungeons without a clearly lit path. But I think that about covers it for this episode. Thank you.
This was fun.
To be your tour guide once more. and I'll see you in the next episode of Cut and Weird Content that didn't make it to Vanilla.
This was a good video. I like this.
Peace.
I've actually never seen the Alpha Orgrimmar before, or that island as well. That was really cool. I liked watching that, actually. That was super dope.
Now, mortals. We hope you enjoyed.
I'll link it here, chat. Link up the video, check out Mad Season.